We're good.
Okay. My name is Penny Dye. I'm the vice chair of the Affordable Housing Trust, and I'm going to chair this meeting because our chair had another commitment. And I would like to call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is approval of our agenda for this meeting. Is there a motion to approve it?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Forrest. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, sorry. Who made the motion? Was it Tom?
It was Tom.
Yes.
Sorry, I mixed you guys up. All right. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor, please. I'm going to do this by roll call. So all those in favor by roll call vote, Abby?
Aye.
Thank you, Forrest.
Aye.
Thank you, Tom.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Next on the agenda is public comments. Is there anybody in attendance that would like to speak for items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing no hands or waving or anything, we're going to move on to the next item, which is approval of the meeting minutes of Tuesday, May 6th. I believe these minutes were taken by AI. Is that true, Christy? They're absolutely perfect.
Sure.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 6th.
So moved.
Thank you, Abby. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, by roll call vote, all those in favor, Abby
Aye.
and Forrest
Aye.
and Tom.
Aye.
And thank you, and the chair votes aye. Next up are some announcements. Christy, I'm going to push it over to you to make these announcements, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the first announcement is that Habitat for Humanity has announced a lottery for the duplex at Waite Drive Village. It's two-bedroom units. And these units will serve households earning up to 80% of area median income. And the application is open until 5 p.m. on June 16th. There's more information on the Habitat website, and we also have the flyer details on our packet on our website as well. That is utilizing funds, that project is utilizing funds from the Affordable Housing Trust and the Community Preservation Committee. And the second announcement is that the Richmond Development has opened applications for the lottery of 7 income restricted rental units at Meadows 1. And these are studio 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom rental units serving households earning up to 80% of area median income. And the website for that is sebhousing.com. And that website is also listed on our agenda and in our packet if anybody needs to see the spelling of that, or you can also stop by the Richmond office at 1 Orchid Place to learn more. Thanks, Penny.
That's great. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Next up is the item about the Covenant Formation Assistance Program for 9 Allens Lane. The applicant is Kimberly Beans. Do you want to elaborate on that, Christy? It was in our packet.
Yeah, so this is for a Covenant Formation Assistance Program over on Allen's Way, and this program is administered through Housing Nantucket with funding from the Affordable Housing Trust. Sorry, I'm in a waiting room. And so what this loan does is it helps cover the costs for a homeowner to create the covenant lot, and then the trust is repaid upon the sale of that lot so that we can regenerate those funds and use them for future covenant lot formations. We've reviewed the application, and Charlene's here from Housing Nantucket if there's any other questions about the application. Otherwise, I would request a motion to approve upon town council's review.
Thank you. Does somebody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Forrest. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Abby. Any discussion on the motion? Does anybody have any questions? I'm just always so happy to see when another one comes in that's being newly created, because it's been a while. Okay, no more discussion. We'll take a roll call vote. All those in favor, Abby?
Aye.
Forrest?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, so that is unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is we need to appoint a designee for the 7 Amelia Drive RFP Evaluation Committee. This is separate from the RFP that's already outstanding that has a committee with 2 representatives from this board. One is Abby and the other is Chantal. So this is a separate RFP for that one piece of land on Amelia Drive that has the connector to Waite Drive. Or am I to ask for volunteers? Christy, is that what you're looking for?
If there's a volunteer, Sully did volunteer himself.
Oh,
I know that
excellent.
he's not here, but if you want to vote.
Quick, let's make a vote. Can I make motions? Is anybody else interested in serving on this particular subcommittee? No, if not, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Brian Sullivan as the designee for the trust.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom. By roll call vote, all those in favor, Abby
Aye.
and Horace
Aye.
and Tom,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye as well. Next is an update from the communications subcommittee. Does the communications subcommittee have a chair?
There's no chair. It's Abby and Chantal are the 2 trust members.
Okay, and you are on there, right?
Yes.
Well, whoever wants to make the report, please go ahead.
Christy, I'll just talk and then you can add. So I think I'm not sure the last time, but I think everyone saw we did have our ads come out right before town meeting, which was great. They were very visible. What happened was Florencia and her team kind of like made them consistent with the graphic design. So they looked really great and classy, I think. And she also finalized the 1-page flyer that Chrissy, I think you circulated to a couple places, and that was also ready for town meeting, and it has the QR code. So our thought kind of going forward for the subcommittee was that we would make sure to keep the stuff fresh. I know we still wanted to do the videos, but I think we thought as projects come and things, we want to highlight them. We want to make sure that the flyer stays current, and we want to make sure that we are consistent with keeping stuff on the website. So the website also is current and has like all the latest, because the QR code and everything kind of sends you back to that one place. So the idea is have that as like the central hub and have everything there. I think there was a thought of keeping Christie's quarterly updates on the website, and just, making sure people it's really easy to find everything. Cause I think that was some of the feedback we got, that it's a little hard. People don't know where everything is. So I think going forward, as much as we kind of like use the QR code, push the QR code, which is sending people to the site, and then like having that kind of built in, and then the site being really updated is kind of a step in the right direction.
I'd like to, yeah, thank you, Abby. I'd like to suggest that the committee give some consideration to pushing out into the public things like the quarterly updates, not handling that in as passive a way as we've been doing, but taking a more proactive approach. And we've allocated, a certain amount of funding for this, so I would just like you to consider that request going forward.
No, I think that's a great idea. I think we thought, because we had some success with the social media, that like, that's a place where we could post and be like, hey, the new quarterly update is out there, because we have the QR code. Like we can send people there and let them know like, hey, and if we're doing a post, we can just call out a couple of highlights. But I think our thought was incorporating that, because I agree with you. I think just making sure we're more proactive about pushing out those assets and that people are reading them. And then I'm also hopeful, I'd have to talk with the town, but then we could get some metrics to see what kind of activity drives traffic or not. So that's just my thought, but totally agree, Penny. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. And I do think that the work of this committee, in my opinion, had a huge impact on the result of the housing articles at town meeting. That we need to start earlier, and we need to be doing things like the videos when we're not under time constraints. Like, I think, let's approach some of the people that are living at Wiggles Way. Just moved in, and see if they're willing to do that. Okay, any other questions on that for the subcommittee? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the staff report. I just want to commend you, Christy, for doing this. This is how we do it at the Housing Authority. The executive director gives a report in writing, actually goes out with the agenda usually, so that the members of the board have time to sort of digest it and read it. And it's helpful. So thank you. Go ahead.
Welcome. So thank you, Madam Chair. Just going to run through a couple of the updates that I sent prior to this meeting. So we have a few staff updates. Bob actually joined the real estate and housing office a few weeks ago, but that was just a change to our staffing that we hadn't announced previously. So we just wanted to welcome Bob to the team. He's working with Tracy on all real estate matters and is located inside of our housing office. So if you bump into him, that's what he's doing, is working with Tracy.
And what is Bob's last name, please?
I'll let Tracy pronounce that.
Bostrowski.
Okay, thank you. I knew he had one. Thank you.
And then we bid farewell and best wishes to Ellis Ramos. We thank her for her dedication in supporting the housing office, major initiatives. She was integral in getting the year-round deed restriction pilot program off the ground. She has decided to move on from this position. So in the meantime, Dylan will be the liaison for the trust to the housing office. We're also in the process, Tracy and I are interviewing candidates for interns for the summer. So that will help with staff coverage. And we are in the process of reviewing the job description and getting it posted with Human Resources to fill the vacancy. The next section is an update on grants and loans. We've been doing several updates over the last couple of trust meetings where we heard from Habitat and Housing Nantucket on their updates. The next meeting in June, we'll be hearing from Richmond Development on their updates, but everything has been moving along very well. Wiggles Way is completed with people moving in, as was mentioned previously by Penny. We're waiting on one additional CO, certificate of occupancy, and that we're eager to get so that people could start moving, can finish moving in. Habitat has their lottery open, as I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, for families to apply for a home ownership opportunity. And last week, Richmond closed on the sale of their last 80% AMI unit over in the Richmond development, and that sealed up our Richmond short-term loan. So if the trust remembers, about a year and a half ago, we did a short-term loan to accelerate the construction of 7 homes within the Richmond development. They were able to construct all of those and sell them in the about 26-month, the 12-month period that we had, and we've been paid back in full plus the interest. So that will be available to the trust in the next fiscal year. So FY26, it'll be available for reinvestment. It's just kind of a great opportunity to showcase how we can lend to expedite projects and then use those funds for future affordable housing projects. And the last project I wanted to give an update on was Tacoma Green. They were in front of the select board last Wednesday to ask for an extension of their land development agreement. And this project is very close to closing on their financial financing and then being able to pull building permits. We had originally hoped that everything would be completed by June 30th, but they've had a few things outside of their control that happened in terms of the Mass Fishery and Wildlife finding an endangered species and needing to work around that timeline. They also needed a sign off from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities that delayed a little bit of our closing. So we're still on track. I think Vicki can say we're moving in a good direction and on track to try to get that closed over the summer. And so we'll be seeing that project move forward.
I just have a quick question about that. Can we average those 64 units over 2 years on the SHI list?
So what Tacoma Green is going to do is they're going to be doing the project in 2 phases. So the first phase is 31 units and the second phase is 33. And so both of those, when they're pulled, will count for 1 year of safe harbor. So we will be getting 2 years based on when they pull those permits.
Great. Thank you.
Speaking of safe harbor, while I was on my maternity leave, Tracy submitted 3 building permits to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. So we're now up to 405 units, which is 6.55% towards our 10% goal. And I just want to say, when I started in this housing world in 2017, we were at 1.9%. So that is huge progress that we just need to keep championing how much we've accomplished in the last few years and how vital that funding at town meeting has been in allowing us to make this progress.
I believe, Christy, that we're one of very few communities in the Commonwealth that is this close to the 10%. Certainly of a community of this size.
We're definitely one that has continued to add each year and at the rate that we're adding compared to other communities and maintaining safe harbor. We do have the Richmond Meadows one that's currently going through the lottery. We'll add 28 units. And as we mentioned, Tacoma Green will add 64 units. When those 2 projects come online, we will be close to 8% towards our 10% goal. So again, really great progress moving towards.
And we should talk about, just briefly so people understand, the 10% is based on the decennial census numbers. So this 10% is based on the last census, which was 2020. And our goal is to hit the 10% before 2030, right?
So we've been estimating based on upcoming projects, and this is, a living, breathing document where projects change day to day. But we would believe that we'll be in safe or at our 10% by 2028, with things coming online in terms of Orange Street, Vesper Lane, and Bartlett Road that the trust acquired. And then the other projects like Tacoma Green and Meadows one.
Thank you.
That kind of leads me into the next update that we have issued the request for proposals for all the vacant land that the trust has acquired, and those proposals came back in with bids throughout the month of April, March and April. So we received 1 bid for the bundled RFP for Bartlett Road, Vesper Lane, and Orange Street. And we received 2 proposals for 7 Amelia Drive. So with your appointment of Brian Sullivan to the Amelia Drive Committee, we'll be able to start that committee. We will also have a representative from the CPC, Community Preservation Committee, and they were appointing their designee today. So that committee will be able to start meeting. The bundled RFP had our kickoff meeting last week. Last Thursday, which the recorded Zoom is online on the Affordable Housing Trust YouTube. And we'll meet again with the developer in, I was gonna say it's 2 weeks from then, it's next Thursday. Will be the second meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
just a quick interjection. We had CPC this morning and we appointed Eleanor Antonetti as our CPC rep to the committee.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
And we have 1 request for quotes for a year-round deed restriction monitoring agency, and we received 1 response to that the staff is finalizing and should be awarded by the select board in June.
One question on the RFP review committees, Christy, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's very important that somebody is on these committees that has local development or construction experience. Is that the case, or is it going to be the case?
So for the bundled RFP, we have a wide variety of expertise. We have from an outside consultant, we have Bernie Husser, who has been integral in helping us with the financing related to Tacoma Green. And part of the proposal for the bundled includes LIHTC funding, which Bernie is an expert on. So we have that.
For those that don't know, it's low income tax credits.
Yes. And then Amelia Drive That's a smaller committee, but that has, like I said, the CPC, it'll have Brian Sullivan, Tracy McDonald, myself, and Brian Turbot.
Yeah. And then you have other things here to report on, yeah?
Yes. Current projects, I know there's been a lot of interest around the year-round deed restriction pilot program. As I just mentioned, we're finalizing that monitoring agency, and then we'll be able to move towards the release of that program. To remind everybody, Judy Barrett worked with developing our program guidelines. We finalized those in the fall, and we've just been working through the legal and kind of different stages of setting that program up before we release it. We're also looking at new information around the seasonal communities designation. They just had a meeting this past Friday in Provincetown to review the guidelines and implementation of the designation. And they're actually hoping to come to Nantucket in September for their next meeting. So we're looking forward to hosting a lot of people from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities and the staff from the towns that have opted in. The last update, long staff update, is the current funding. So I just wanted to touch base after the results of annual town meeting, where we received an additional $11.5 million in funding thanks to the voters. We've received $5 million in bonding authority for the Community Preservation Committee and $6.5 million in our annual override. I'm going to share my screen. So I've added in the town meeting funding sources to the top. So the total funds that the Affordable Housing Trust has received to date is 147 million, just about 148 million. That's a combination of borrowing authorizations, debt exclusions, overrides, and Community Preservation Committee funds. The next section that was included in the staff update highlights all of the completed projects that funds have been awarded to, such as purchasing of vacant land, the Richmond development, Wiggles Way, and Habitat for Humanity homes. The next kind of section is projects that are currently in progress. This is where the Affordable Housing Trust has approved funding for programs that are either in progress or about to launch, like Lease to Locals and the year-round deed restriction pilot program. And lastly, the bottom section talks about future needs in terms of closing cost assistance, construction subsidies, development subsidies, or homeowner potential subsidies. These are all programs that we've been discussing or projects on the horizon with the availability of vacant land, but nothing has been voted on and appropriated.
So,
So
yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, so one thing to note with all of this is of our available funds, 45 million of that is a borrowing authorization, and our 6.5 million override each year is set aside to pay the debt service of that. So each year we'll have kind of less cash available once we borrow to cover those expenses. So while we have the funds available, there is just that caveat that they will be borrowed.
Yeah. Two things. The purchase of vacant land under completed projects, does that include Parker and Fairgrounds, the most recent purchase?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then the other thing is a future needs, we've got a $450,000 line item to Lease to Locals. I was unable to be at our previous meeting where they presented, but my understanding is there are only 13 units in this year's program compared to 22 last year, and that they still have quite a bit of funding left over that's not yet been used from that first tranche that we gave for the pilot program. Is that true?
So while they have funds available, they're in line to be used, similar to how we kind of have projects in progress. They have houses that we're still in a lease agreement from the first year. So they will probably be renewing in June or July or August. So the funds will be used by September 1st, but they hadn't been utilized yet.
Does anybody have any questions on this? It's a lot of information and it's something to see it all in one place like this.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Tom?
I have just two minor comments. Christy, it's a great report. I think I'm gonna forward it to Erica to have her send it to the whole select board. I think this is very good. I know you're gonna do a report anyway, but I think it's terrific information for all of us to know. And the other thing is, a week ago Friday, Libby, Brooke, Matt, and myself had Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association on Nantucket here, and they did a tour of the landfill, and then we had lunch and et cetera. And I ended up taking 2 chairs of 2 Cape select boards and a county commissioner around for a while, and they were saying just how they watch our meetings and they look to us for kind of to lead on a lot of the housing stuff and what great work we've all done, and just that they really like knowing that we have our eye on the ball and they can look to us for kind of guidance from afar on how to do some of this, so how to navigate some of these waters, so to speak. So that was very nice to hear from some of the Cape leaders.
Well put, thank you. The only suggestion, Christy, I might have here is if you would add a percentage of the total column for the subtotals. You know, total funds appropriate 100%, projects completed, what's 81%? What is 81 as a percentage of the 147? I just think it might be helpful to have a running percentage.
Yep, I can add that.
Easy enough to do.
I
Great.
think
Any
I
other-
had one.
Yes.
I also thought it might be helpful, Christy, because I know you starred a couple that have the loan component. If we can know how much of the loan component will be paid back.
Yep.
Because that would go to the bottom line, the available funds, correct? So, I mean, I know you might want to like bucket it separately or whatever, because like you said, it's timing where it like might not be available, but just so people understand, like the 30 million might be what's available now, but if we have these loans and they come due in a certain time period, that we might have enough, I'm making it up, like another 2 million, 5 million, whatever that is. I just think it might be helpful to include as well.
I think you're exactly right, Abby, and I think the place to put it is under available funds,
Yeah.
right? Then you just say anticipated repayment of. I mean, how much was the loan that was just repaid? Isn't that like $6 million or something?
That was a $3.1 million loan.
Oh, okay. I'm mixing it up with another one. Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions? Great job, Christy, on this.
Thank you. And just to add one
Yeah.
last comment.
Oh, I have a question. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, after Tom's comment, it reminded me at the seasonal communities designation meeting this past Friday, they discussed how Provincetown meets quarterly with their select board, their planning board, and their affordable housing trust. And I know that this has been a request from our board, so I've been in touch with both Leslie Snell and Libby Gibson about coordinating a joint meeting.
Great.
So it is in the works.
That's great. I wanted to just briefly ask about the deadline for applicants. I think it was Friday for applicants who are applying for the seat vacated by Megan Browers. And I think, do we have 2 applicants? And my question is, will we be speaking about that at the next meeting? Or what's the procedure? Select board or the appointing authority, right?
Yeah, so the select board will appoint the person to the vacated seat. I don't have information on how many people applied, but I can reach out to Erica.
We could
And
find out maybe for the next meeting. I just would be curious to know that.
Absolutely, and they'll be presenting at the select board meeting. Tom, is that at the June 3rd meeting where candidates can go and speak?
Yeah, it's multiple meetings because there's so many committees. Penny is correct that it is 2 applicants. It's in our packet, in the select board packet this week, and Erica will read the names, I'm sure, like standard protocol.
Great. now we're at board comments. Does anybody have any other comments they'd like to make from the board? Is there only 4 of us here now? Okay. Any other business? No. All right, our next meeting is June 3rd, our next regular meeting at 12:30, and then June 17th also at 12:30. And we are going to adjourn this meeting for the purpose of going into executive session. For the purpose of discussing exchange, lease, or value of real property. Where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the trust. Not to return to this meeting. That is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Forrest. By roll call vote, all those in favor, Abby,
Aye.
Forrest,
Aye.
thank you, Tom,
Aye.
thanks, and the chair votes aye. So see you in executive session. Thank you.